much. This year will determine our president for the next 4 years, so you better hurry down and vote. After all, every choice matters, and yours could decide our next president. So once you're of age, head on down and vote. This is what every news station, political podcast, and most history teachers tell you once you near the voting age requirement. But should you? Your vote has value because it's one of the few ways we can make changes in our current government. It's your chance to be heard over the politicians and news stations that often have ulterior motives, but most people question, should you? This year, America, once again, is holding an election, and tensions are running high as ever as politicians grow more vicious in attempting to discredit and debacle the others. No matter what your political beliefs are, with the world in such an unsteady state, I believe that our vote, no matter how cliche it sounds, might never have held such importance in our country. Despite recent events, over generations, people have been found less likely to vote when they come of age, despite the privileges and responsibilities that are bestowed upon them. Our country has been blessed with a democracy, and voting is an essential part of it, but these privileges often can be abused. People may not choose to vote because they feel it won't change anything in our country, but is that true? Throughout America, voting has remained a staple in change and trends, and once has been recognized for its power, and as such has been abused by others, and as they manipulate the results. Due to this, voters may feel that their vote simply isn't necessary in the big picture. With the votes possibly being manipulated by politicians and counters being bribed, the outcome is already predetermined. One example people may recall recently, and is a popular example, is the 2020 election, where dead people were allegedly accused of voting despite, being deceased, according to the Associated News Press. With news stations constantly claiming voter fraud and credibility seeming to become scarcer every year, voters might not bother trying anymore, especially with people gossiping about how far America has fallen, which can be depressing to others who hear in the current condition the world finds itself in. Especially with people gossiping about how far America has fallen, which can be depressing to hear in the current condition the world finds itself in. With news stations being paid to shed light on some sides of an issue, and politicians failing to hold the trust of the people, it's no wonder people give up, especially since their vote does actually matter. Trust in our government has always been slightly dubious, but with recent scandals and incidents littering the media, which has become all the more cutthroat to gain the upper hand, the only option for people is to pick whichever person seems the least corrupt. The earliest, according to the Pew Research Center, dips in the public trust for our government occurred within the last century, as the Nixon scandals introduced impeachment and the concept of an extremely flawed, yet human, leader. With world wars leading humanitarians judging death and failure in Vietnam breaking morale, only of the quarter of the public held trust in the system. While the younger generation has been showing a bit more trust in our government than their older counterparts, with an average of 16% of the young vote population, it's frankly not nearly as much as the 77% in 1964. So yes, while evidence does show that our mistrust in the government is not uncommon, it doesn't mean that we should give up voting altogether. Our voice holds merit, and whether you believe it or not, it's our given blessing as citizens to use it. I understand if doubt may still linger, but throughout history, voting has been the backbone of change in our country. The very world itself has evolving around the choices we make as a country, so why should we give up our right to change it? Voting is how women gained independence with the 19th Amendment, how African Americans gained freedom and voting rights with the 15th and 14th Amendment, and it's how we choose a leader to fit our ideals and beliefs. Voting is how change is made in this country. Even our leaders must go through rigorous voting trials before they can even make decisions for America. It's what makes this country and its people today, so we should strive to be a part of that gift. I am an underage American citizen, meaning I cannot vote, but I have witnessed my parents, teachers, and others every 4 years go to vote for their laws, leaders, and changes within our home. Just recently, my parents have voted for the mayor of my city, a choice they had a say in because they had the opportunity to vote. Voting is a blessing to those who can't hear, and a common occurrence to those who constantly have her in her reach. It's all about ideals, beliefs, and personal experiences that a person goes through in their lifetime. People who are really intense and interested in voting march in rallies, wear supportive hats and shirts, and put bumper stickers on their cars if they want to be more open about it. But more often than not with our generation, they use social media to brag about their chosen candidates. However, people who are less enthusiastic or feel that there isn't much to be excited about voting don't really have to do anything. That's the beauty of voting. It's all about choice. The choice to choose and the choice to vote. It's all up to them. But I believe they should vote, if only to improve the lives of the others they love. Some people may oppose this by asking questions such as, well, did you hear about the rigging of the results to win? Or did you hear about that impeachment again as reasons not to vote? While the news may attempt to push narratives and leave out all the facts, it doesn't change you. Using what you know in the internet that has multiple sources, you can research to find facts and choose to whomever you think is best to vote for. Another thing you could argue is, well, what if I don't want to vote? Is it really that wrong not to vote? Well, as I stated earlier, our democracy and voting system are based on the concept of freedom, to choose and to vote. You're free to do whatever you wish. However, you must know that this is a blessing most are not able to have and greatly desire. So even if you don't have to vote or want to vote, you should vote. You should at least be aware of the opportunity and blessing that you're wasting. Your vote matters in every law, amendment, election, and leader we have as a country. We unite to vote for. So remember that the natural blessings you have that come with being a natural American-born citizen, that people immigrate and flee to America simply to have the choice to vote. Your vote has value. You are heard in our democratic system. Use your voice and vote to make changes in our country today.